Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And our guest today, Lauren Krasnodembski.
You got it.
I think I got it close enough. I had to like pause and build up confidence there. She is the creator of Mind Muscle Motivator, a transformational wellness company for women. She's also an author of Reclaim Your Power, a guide to allow your passion and purpose to discover you. She's also a privacy attorney for a Fortune 10 company as well. And I'm excited to have you and have a chat here. So welcome to the show.
Honored to be here, Teri. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's hear a little bit more about you, how you got to be where you're at today, and just give us the Cliff Note version here.
Yeah, well, I know you're a big person on fear. So I am an attorney today because I feared not having enough. My dad suffered from a brain tumor when I was in 4th grade, and unconsciously that stuck with me that you have to have a lot of money to be successful and be okay in life. And so honestly, I'm an attorney today because I really like law and order, and because I was fearful of not having enough
Interesting
security. Now, how the book came about was very interesting, and the whole Mind Muscle Motivator, that was a more recent endeavor, really, that it started on a self-discovery path where I kind of checked a lot of boxes in life, and I was like, shit, check the last one. And I was like, I should probably be a little bit happier, and I'm not, or more fulfilled.
Yeah.
And my mom took me to a passionate palmist who was reading some lines on my hands, and it was a Christmas gift. And she just like stopped reading the lines, and she was like, so what are you passionate about? And I was like, right, passion. Passion is what again? And I couldn't answer her question, and it became a very uncomfortable reading. She could tell I was super, just conflicted and just uncomfortable. And so she was like, well, what do you like to do? And I was like, again, like speechless, couldn't really answer her. And I realized I had like lost this like zest for life and my light, and just like I kind of lost myself through this process of life, kind of achieving what I thought I should be achieving. And so I left her house, and I just started this inward quest with myself to kind of just figure out who I was again, and what is it that I liked, and what was I passionate about. And that kind of went on for 4 years until my passion really found me and my purpose. And then I created the Mind Muscle Motivator because I was like, I know I'm not the only one feeling this, and I have to give this back to the world, just kind of these lessons learned and this journey. Because I think a lot of us, it's not a destination, right? It's always a journey, but I felt really called to give it back to the world.
Well, and especially when we pick a career or pick a path that's fueled by fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I got to go make money, right? And it was so interesting that you shared that, because I had a high school guidance counselor at one point, and we had in high school we had 3 opportunities to do job shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not all schools offer this, but what it was is you could go for the day and job shadow, different careers. And it was really interesting. And so and I went to tell, and I was not really sure what I wanted to do. And when I was younger, I wanted to be either a cosmetologist or an undercover cop in New York City. I'm not really sure. Anyways, but in a sense, I did actually bring those two together. I was talking on the stage the other day, and I was like, I became a therapist. So it is kind of like the hairstylist, like people want to talk to you. And then it's also you're trying to be the undercover, like what is the root cause. So in some weird way, I did combine those two professions. But it was interesting because we got to do these job shadowing, and I told the counselor, I said, I'm not really sure what I want to do. And he's like, well, you need to go job shadow an accountant because they make a lot of money. So whenever you say job shadow and accountant, those two words should never be used in a sentence together. And so it was like torture. Like I was there for like 20 minutes and I was like, I'm peace out. Like I'm out. I'm like, I want to poke out my eyes. Can you poke out my eyes for me? Like, just like, whoa, this is, by the way, I was dyslexic and my classes were horrible. Right. But then he's like, you need to go job shadow an attorney. And he actually had me go and see a defense attorney.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the middle of this trial, and this trial was really contentious, and this trial was really ugly. And there were people yelling, and I mean, police, the little, what's the, I don't know what is called, the law, like the bailiff had to like get involved, and it was and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is not it either, right? But I think about like how we get put, like again, like based on our fears and our things, like how we get guided. And maybe it wasn't just all fear; it was also, for some people that are listening to this, it could have been, there was this pressure to be like, you have to be an attorney, you have to be a nurse, you have to be a doctor, you have to be whatever. And I think sometimes when we are not pushed, but kind of like pushed or persuaded or consciously or unconsciously, directed in that path, we get there and we're like, great, okay, achieved, check. But now I'm feeling pretty empty inside. So I'm guessing that there was a level of that was playing out for you as well.
100%. And it was weird because I do believe that like everything does happen for a reason. I know like people hate to hear that. And I hated to hear that when people would tell me, I'm like, not a good line. Okay. But yeah. It wasn't until my passion found me that I realized like I was actually supposed to go through that, because like you, I am dyslexic as well. I hated to read. Like I was always in the bottom class of my class, like just like from an educational perspective, like had a hard time reading, and just things did not come easily to me.
Yeah.
And so when I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go on this path down the law school, like people laughed at me. Like, honestly, I was like the Elle Woods with brown hair, right? When I was telling people that I was going to law school, they were like, Teri, what? And I was like, yeah, you heard me right. And it was.
But did you study in polka dot history fashion? I'm just kidding.
I was always in heels. I've taken a more Zen approach to my attire lately, but yeah, so I had a negative belief of I wasn't enough, which I know you're big on. Yeah. And it was weird because when we can change our thought process, like my fear of like not having that security or money trumped my fear of not being enough, right? Even though the odds were stacked way against me, again, my guidance counselor is like, even my own dad was like, I'm sorry, what? So it was just like, it was a real thing, right? But it was like, I was determined to make this work because of what what my greater fear was, essentially. Not being enough was kind of lower than the fear of security. And so I want to put that out there, because our thoughts really do change how we show up in our life and what we are able to accomplish. Because when you truly believe something deep down, you will find a way. You will make it happen.
And sometimes I feel like, do you feel like it's because you had to actively combat those thoughts and those fears and those worries on a regular basis. And there was something within you that said, I had to like create something over here that says, I can do this. Right. And so those two sides that are going back and forth and battling it out, you actually allowed the winning one, the one that was building you up, to, get the upper level. And I think that is something really powerful. And that's something I think that's kind of like divinely guided within us. It's like, okay, like I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to prove everybody that ever questioned me wrong. Right. And it's really powerful when you step into that power and be like, okay, I got this. And there is I don't know. I mean,
it's almost like creating a separate reality is what I say, is that, the reality is this that you're in, but it's almost like we're creating a separate reality of like, no, I'm going to prove that reality wrong.
Yep.
And it's really profound and it's really powerful when we step into that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wish, at times I wish I would have questioned, why I was doing it. Cause I think maybe I would have, reevaluated some things. But again, I truly believe like I've been able to get the skill set, right, that I'm now using on my next venture in life. And when I hired my first life coach, she was just like, I was so trying to figure out like, where's my next move? Where's like, what am I passionate about? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And she said something to me, which is pretty simple, but so profound. She's like, you don't have to start over. Cause I was like, I've worked so hard, to go to law school, to build myself up and into this
Yeah.
career and financially stable and all this stuff. And when she said that, I was just like, I didn't quite understand it at the time. But like the things that I'm doing now, like I'm using my skill set. And so I think people often forget that like you're in a path for a reason. And like
Yeah.
you're gaining skills, you're gaining knowledge for something that you're probably going to do maybe later,
Yeah.
and you might not be able to connect the dots like immediately, but it's like, working in group sessions or like reading somebody's astrology chart, like I'm able to synthesize that material really quickly, which is
Yeah.
what I do in my job now, and pull out the highlights so it's like digestible for them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's funny that when you can just kind of relax into a situation and like stop trying to figure what it is out and really just follow kind of your energy and what excites you and what motivates you and what keeps you going, that's really where fulfillment comes from, I believe.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a great point that you're not starting over, because I think so often, I think many of us have, been on our fifth or sixth or seventh, version of ourselves. And it is not, starting over by far. I
Right.
am so grateful for the path. Right. And I think, when we are being shown, when we're going through life, I think that, we have all these possibilities and all these bazillion, godzillion opportunities and possibilities out there. And so we are shown when it starts to light up and we're like, oh, and what's this? And we start to take notice of that. It's like, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready. And now you get to pursue that for a little bit. And that will be, your path for a little bit. And then something else will catch your eye and be like, okay, I'm ready now too. And then I'll pursue that. And so I think that it's brilliant and beautiful how it plays out, but we're never starting over. We are, just taking what we've learned, adding that to our skill set. And I've often talked about, we're always moving from a student path to a master path, and we're, again, that's not starting over either, in the sense of like we're in a new level on that student path, and
Right.
then we move to the master path, and then we, another skill set and stuff, and it's so powerful. So what were some things that you would recommend for folks that, maybe or isn't that place in their life where they're like, yeah, I feel like my little zest has, I've depleted that little zest in life, and where do I reclaim that, passion, and where do I reclaim that, and or just question kind of my purpose again in this age and stage of my life?
Yeah, so I would say for the because I do believe passion and purpose are a little bit different.
Right.
um I truly believe like my purpose is to really just show up like with as much light and love as I can. Like it's not a thing. It's not, a mom being a mom. It's not being an attorney. It's not owning my business. It's truly like my being, and like that I can show up in a certain way every day. And I get
Yeah.
to choose that. That is my purpose, is that I get to show up with as much light and love. And like to do that, you have to fill your own cup. Cause I really believe, like, I hate the saying that's like, you can't pour from an empty cup, because I truly believe all of our cups are pretty fucking full. But it's like, what are you filling your cup with? And
Yeah.
so I would start my morning typically like by checking my phone, my work emails, like, and by the time I was getting out of bed, I was like anxious, because I had all these things to do. And so what I really started to do to reclaim my power is I just started taking 5 to 10 minutes every day for myself. And they were like a grounding 5 to 10 minutes. So whether that was drinking my coffee in peace, I started with an I am affirmation that was specific to me. So I created it. So I'm a passionate, powerful, present, and peaceful leader who is whole and complete and an instrument of divine light and love. And I would just start repeating that back to me because it really resonated with me. I know some people are weary about affirmations. Like if you're going to say I'm a millionaire tomorrow, like obviously you're probably not believing that, right? It's
Right,
I
right.
want that to be true,
Yeah.
and it could be, but you got to start with something that really resonates with you for it to really start to change
Right.
that mind and the body connection, if you will.
Yeah.
So I would say
Agreed. Yeah.
those two things, like really think about what your strengths are and like what your purpose is. Like what are you great at? How do you show up in life? Like keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then, really think about what grounding techniques you can use in the morning or like your peak time, like when you feel good, to keep filling up that cup with like good stuff so that you can keep uh, going on your purpose, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And follow what excites you. Like I just got
Yeah.
certified in aerial yoga and people are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know, but I feel called to it. So
Yeah.
just keep following what excites you and what interests you. Or if you keep looking at somebody else and being in awe, like of that they're doing that, like take notice of that because that means
Yeah.
something.
Or if you just see something that just keeps showing up, like it's like,
Yeah.
hello, hello, you just keep seeing the same thing showing up, showing up, showing up. Like take notice of that because it is something that's nudging you. And
Yeah.
it's these little like, universal nudges like, hey, pay attention, pay attention. Yesterday I was having a conversation and this lady's like, this keeps showing up in my life. And I was like, well, then it's probably something that you should dig a little deeper in because that's not showing up for me. I'm just saying, okay, like, that's not showing up for me because it's not my message. It's your message, right? And so taking that's a great again a great reminder for all of us is just to be aware of what's showing up for us and what is and when I was at my live event, it was so funny because I said, I'm gonna tell you guys a big secret about our passion. And I was like, okay, everyone lean in. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this because I want you to make sure that you guys hear this, but I'm just saying it's really secret. Okay. I just told them what lights you on fire? What excites you in life? And I'm like, just do more of that, right? Like, just do more of that. Like, that is the secret of doing more of that. And if you're not sure, like you said, like experiment, get curious, and play with different things and things. I remember, gosh, multiple times in my life, I've gone through this where I'm like, well, let me try this and let me try this. And I would try all these new things and some of them stuck and some of them like, no, that is not
Love it.
me. That is, what, playing softball is not for me. Like it's very, or whatever it might be. Right. And again, there's you can start something and be like, this isn't for me. And just know and be like, okay, bless and release, not for me. And then go on to the next. Right. So, but I agree with you.
I call them bread. So a whole chapter of my book is dedicated to this, and I call them breadcrumbs because,
Yeah.
like, by itself, it looks so little, right? And you're like, what is this? Like, so, but like all of a sudden, like your breadcrumbs start to come together, and then it's like a full blown meal, and it makes sense to you. And I love to give people examples. Like one, when I was like years ago, my company made me do like a personality test. And I remember I dissected that thing and it was like, why am I so excited? And then somebody knocked on my door after like an hour and a half. So I had to stop reading it. But again, it's like I was in this like hustle hamster mode. So like I just remained in my desk, right? So it's like you have to take intentional, conscious action for when these things start to excite you or when you feel that like kind of bodily, oh my gosh, like yes, to take action on those things. So it's really a two piece, like being conscious of like when it's happening and then to further it.
Yeah, I agree. Taking action is really important. So when you hear the nudge, take some action on that, to really to determine if this is you or not, if this really lights yourself on fire and like, brings that, burning desire to you. So I love it. Any final thoughts that you want to share with our audience that is listening today about, either finding their purpose and what they, feel called to do, or, or finding that passion and what really, brings them massive joy? Because I think that our one birthright is to be happy. And I think we all deserve to find whatever that might be, within us, to keep that fuel alive. So any final thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, I would say don't overthink it and really give yourself the sacred space. I know a lot of us will put other people before our own selves, and to just really carve out that sacred space, whether it's 5 minutes, because, that stacks up to be several hours a year, whatever you can give yourself. Like, take the time and follow what excites you.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So this has been delightful. Where can people connect with you and hear more about you?
Yeah, so you can go onto my website at www.mindmusclemotivator.com. It's all one word. You can also find my book on Amazon. It's on Audible as well for those who are busy and can't get to the paper or hardback.
I love it.
Reclaim your power.
I love it. And I think that is a powerful message for all of us, to really step into and own our power and the gifts that we were here born with. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode. And thank you, Lauren, for being such a bright light for all of us. We will be in touch. And for any information, please reach out. The information will be in the show notes, and we will look forward to staying in touch. Thank you so much.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.